You're listening to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, a podcast for those who are in and around the hospitality industry who love, live, and breathe what they do. You can join us for candid and unscripted conversations with hospitality experts and founders as we go deeper into their personal stories while they're sharing their triumphs and trials that got them to where they are today. I'm your host, Will Slickers, and you're listening to an episode of Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast. Now, let's begin. All right, another episode today with our guest, Crystal from Ideas, and super excited. Brian Hamaoui co-hosting with me. This is like getting to become like my favorite part of the whole conference. We never get to talk this much.
Well, you said to me, do you want to do one by yourself? I said,
like,
there's no way.
He's like,
it's not as fun.
He's got Will Slickers here. He can't, What
am I going to talk to?
Just kidding.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to let you do the introduction. You guys know each other very well. So
I've known Crystal. She's like almost a childhood friend.
Are we giving years? I don't know if we want to dive into
years
yet.
But
It's
I've known
easier for you
Crystal
guys.
for a very, very long time. Lots of history. But Crystal's got an incredible background in the hospitality space. So now she's heading up Ideas.
Senior Director Sales at Ideas.
Awesome.
Right?
Yep.
And she's been, how long have you been in the industry in hospitality?
On the tech side, I've been probably 12, 13 years. And then if you add in my actual hotel operations and sales and all the different facets of hotels that I've worked in, I'm probably over more than 2 decades.
So tell us a little bit about what Ideas is for the listeners that don't know what the product actually does.
So Ideas is best known for revenue management solutions. Started in the airline industry over 30 years ago. Our 2 founders are still within the organization, but a couple years ago we got acquired by SaaS Institute, who's most known for their forecasting and analytics engines. But we created a new platform, Ideas G3 RMS. Was primarily focused in hotels the last 20 years. And now are venturing out into new verticals and looking for additional ways to optimize revenue, pricing, and automate those decisions analytically for our hotel partners and beyond.
And beyond. I like it.
Yeah.
So what is the biggest thing you're seeing right now? Because I think for us, from a media standpoint and even an operator standpoint on your end, we see a high demand for travel. We're seeing highest rates as much as we've probably seen, at least on the short-term rental side for sure. Hotels are getting away with crazy numbers for lower service and all these other things. Do you think this is going to taper off anytime soon, or are we just in the beginning of a dumpster fire?
No, we're in an interesting position, right? First off, I'm very proud of all our industry and hotel partners that retained rate, and we learned our lessons from the 2008 downturn when we thought that dropping rate was going to drive demand. We learned that lesson the hard way. So our recovery and rebound, particularly in some of the resort markets or other spaces, as you know, have surpassed the 2019, RevPARs and other KPI indexes that we look at. But there is definitely discussion about the spacing out. Now the group is coming back, and some of that business is moving back into those markets that were not as demanded, like the city centers, and they're starting to see their growth return. The resorts are forecasting that they're going to taper off a bit, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be lower RevPAR, lower revenue production. It means we have to get more creative on, for us, we're trying to put a focus on profit optimization. So no longer looking at top line revenue, but bottom line. And then we're incorporating,
Look how excited
freaking
I know,
music to my ears. I'm
I
like, that's the soundbite of the whole episode and the whole thing.
Well, here's what's funny is for the vacation rental industry, probably most of us have no clue what we're looking at when we're looking at that type of data. And it's something that if we're going to learn something from the hotel space or airline space, where we need more education. Because it makes us more profitable.
Yeah. I mean, it's not new that, labor costs are high or any of those factors were high, but, right now more than ever, cost control is huge. Inflation is on, we're in the front of inflation that's taken off beyond what we can even manage. So it's becoming more and more important. And we've been fortunate at Ideas that the last few years, because we are privately held, we've been double downing on investments and development. And one of the things that we are launching actually this week is channel forecasting, so that helps control what the expenses are tied to each channel and sourcing your business, so that you can help drive the bottom line profitability, among other things. But yeah, I mean, costs aren't going away. resorts are forecasting lower demand as things spread out, but international travel is coming back too, and if the airlines can
stop canceling 600 flights a day,
figure it out what's going on, leaving me stranded in New York last week for 40 hours, and things will get better.
But that's awesome.
Well, I always have a question on when it comes to revenue and stuff. What are hotels and properties doing for in-stay revenue? We always talk about nightly rate. Nightly rate's great, but I posted this morning on LinkedIn, I think nightly rate is no longer the conversation. We don't need to worry about top line revenue. We need to worry about what is actually going to make us profitable, to the sense when it comes to acquisition or a merger, that we can actually have the upper hand on, instead of being like, well, we have 80% occupancy year round, blah, 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 blah. Like, we want to know what's happening inside the property.
Yeah, we actually sponsored the Resorts Roundtable kicking off Monday. And one of those questions, that was a question we posed, is, we shared what we're hearing, what we're seeing. And some of the feedback we got from the actual resorts themselves, or depending on the market, like luxury is obviously going to have a different approach than more select service, but everything from offering packages, including gas gift cards. And for that dry market, gas prices are taken off, but to just actually broadening the scope. So, through COVID, I think someone, what they call it, they said like drive fatigue or dry market fatigue. Everyone was going this very small radius through COVID. They're broadening it to still maintain dry market, but a little bit beyond what their normal scope was, to draw on people that maybe were sick of going to the closer cities in their markets. So like San Diego to Napa versus trying to get that San Francisco market. So just getting a little bit creative and where you're spending, and making sure you're forecasting where to invest those marketing dollars. You don't need them in spring break at March. March, you need them soft season when the hurricane scares people away. So just prioritizing that spend.
Makes sense.
Cool. Makes sense. For our listeners, we will be posting information at the bottom about the companies that we're interviewing. So you'll have links to the companies, contact details as well for some of our guests. What are the 3 things you're looking for at this show?
We love to network. It's just great to see all the friends in the industry. That's always my priority, whether they're hotel partners or former colleagues or just longtime friends. That's always first. Creativity, seeing what innovation's happening is really exciting for me. And learning what everyone's doing in other areas of the industry.
For sure. So, I love it. Well, you heard it.
Thank you for having me.
Joining us at this awesome booth. I love it. Thank you so much for listening and watching. And again, everything will be in the show notes, and we'll post about it. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you to our show partners for making Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast, possible. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we would love to connect with you outside of the podcast. So you can follow us on all of our social media channels for daily hospitality content, or find us on slicktalkthepodcast.com. And don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'm your host, Will Slickers, and we will see you guys all again next week.